Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Do Life podcast, where we talk about life, its challenges, and some clever ways to tackle some common obstacles with cutting edge technology, scientific based research, and a splash of metaphysical properties. I'm your host, Life Coach Layla, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Beth Muley-Min, and she is a
Business
focal
coach.
point business coach. Focal point business coach, and has multiple ventures. She's a very fascinating woman. She has a podcast, travels, all kinds of fun stuff. So, Beth, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Layla.
Awesome. So, I want to talk a little bit about your podcast and what inspired you to create a podcast, and let's kind of go from there.
It was kind of someone's recommendation, just kind of what started it. I very much have always been um, about people. I grew up in a business environment where leadership taught and really instilled in people that your people will make you profitable. Take care of your people; they'll take care of your bottom line. And I have continued through my corporate career and now with my own business to keep that strategy and keep that culture is a very big part of me because I think it is. I think business doesn't work without people. We can say all we want about AI and what it's going to do for us, but it's about people. And I talk a lot, and a lot of my vision and my mission. I realize everybody is in business to make money. Um, But that is not my ultimate goal. I mean, it's a goal, but it's not the goal that drives me. The goal that really drives me is being able to help people achieve what they didn't think they could. And for me, that's important because I've been told many times in my life there was something I wasn't going to be able to do, or personally or professionally. And when they were personal, I had the right support, the right encouragement, and the right mindset to be able to succeed and achieve all of those. And I've been able to do that in business in business as well. So I try and have instilled in my teams, we can do anything we want as long as we believe that we can do it. And we have the right support, the right encouragement. And I've done it. And that's wonderful to me to be able to have people get to that I did it moment is just so rewarding.
I love that. You said so many key factors there that, business is going to thrive, but they can't without people. AI can only do so much. You still need people, to double check the AI because it's not always accurate and it makes a lot of mistakes. And money is important, yes, but that's not going to motivate you enough when things get hard. It's what's your why, and if your why is people focused, how can I serve, how can I help, you're going to go a lot farther than if you're just chasing the dollar. So I think those are some pretty important things to mention there.
Yeah, it is. It is. I worked in corporate America with a lot of very big businesses, and it's great, it's rewarding, but there's something about working with small business owners, entrepreneurs who really they're trying to impact, not big corporations, not big business, but their impact is on people in their community, people that they know. And that's also important to me because having worked and worked with a lot of large corporate customers, it was great. But small business is very much about what drives our U.S. economy, how we define small business for sure. And with, what's going on right now with our economy and just, people are just trying to figure out how do I get through this? How do I do it? And if I can help people make that journey a little bit easier, a little bit less stressful, then again, that's important.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I came from 20 years of corporate life, and you you do a good job and it's rewarding in and of itself, but you don't feel like you're actually making a difference. And I think, when you said you like working with small businesses and entrepreneurs because they care. They genuinely care. They care about the people. They care about their impact. They care about, what their community and what's going to happen to their lives and the people around them. You don't really get that in a lot of big businesses. A lot of businesses will pretend they have that, but then when you're inside the culture, it's not really there. So working with smaller businesses definitely has a level of care and consideration that you just don't get with the corporate. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it is so true, Layla, because I've worked with and so husband and wife businesses. I've worked with some bigger, but not huge companies, and they also have typically a bigger, or at least a more visible um, way they give back to the community. Now, a lot of big corporate customers do as well. It's different. I mean, as a small business owner, you're doing it in your community. You're doing it for um, something you believe in. And I've talked to a number of people who have been on this series, and they talk about sustainability. And sustainability is important, but you don't hear big corporate customers talking about it and about just the small things you can do. Like someone told me, if you take two things out of your suitcase, if everybody did that, do you know how much weight would be saved being on a plane, or just the carbon footprint? I'm like, I never even thought of that. So just they think of it in a different view and a very different um, mindset of w- my, what decisions I make and the impact they have, you know, to the community, through our, in that case, our climate and all that. So it's a great thing. And they have such great stories to tell.
Yeah, I'd imagine each business is so unique and definitely has their own story for sure, but their why, the one thing that sticks with me all the time is what is your why? What is your motivation? What made you do this? What made you take the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship to building your own business? So um I guess I'll just ask you, what's your why? Is it the people aspect of it? Is it the community? What's your motivator?
Yeah. My why really is about what I talked about earlier is um, my mom was told I would never graduate high school. I would never be able to, um, for, due to some medical reasons. And if by chance I ever did graduate high school, I would never be able to go to college. And, my life, I don't necessarily expect a lot of great things. My mother believed in me. My mother said, "Hey, you can do whatever you want." Made sure I had the right support. And while I didn't have great grades in high school, I did graduate, and I did go on to college. Now, my mother didn't get to see that. I lost my mother before that happened, but she was with me and she continued on that journey with me, saying, you can do it. And for someone who was never supposed to ever go to college, I graduated college with honors. And so that was like, for me, I did it moment. And I've continued to have those moments where then in my professional career, I was told, I would never be able to make, a president's award in one of the companies I worked with. And I did it the first year I was in the role. Um, Being able, for a customer to be able to tell me, you can't do this, you guys aren't going to be a good fit for us. And then 2 years in a row to be named their carrier of the year. So it's all about the support. It's about the encouragement. It's about the mindset. And as women, we are more often told we can't do something. And it is the biggest load of bull that is ever out there. So, and as I started my business, I heard a lot of it from women. Well, I don't think I can do that. Or, I've been told I can't do that. And it's not true. So to be able to support women to that I did it moment, and to go from it can't be done, it's never been done, to I did it, that's rewarding, because I know that feeling, and I'm supporting other people on that path to get there. is why I do this, because we can do anything we want.
Yeah, there's so many, key nuggets of information there. I want to go back to, your mom was told that you were never going to graduate high school. I want to say it was Thomas Edison. I'm not 100% sure it was him, but it was one of the like older philosophers slash scientists. And he was pulled from school for behavioral and educational issues and was told that, he was basically an idiot and was expelled from school. And the mother said, "Oh, you're so gifted. They just don't have a program that's capable of teaching you." And so she home taught him and told him all of those years that he was just so smart that the schools weren't smart enough for him. And then it wasn't until after she passed and he was going through papers that he saw that he was expelled for academics and realized that the schools thought he was too stupid to be there. And he went on to be a genius because his mother believed in him and pushed him forward. So you said support is so important, and you are so right. There's there's a phrase that says we're the sum of the five people we spend the most time with, and are those people building you up or tearing you down? And having a good support system is so important for being successful and really I love working as a rebel too. I love the moment someone tells me I can't do it. That's my motivation to do it. I love to prove people wrong. It's not always ideal though. So having a good support system to let you know, like, you might actually be crazy. Please don't do this. Or, you know what? If anybody can do it, it's you. So um, I love the idea of just kind of pushing forward. If you decide you want to do something, you can do it. And so many people are just told that they can't do something and they just accept that. And I don't think that's fair that anybody should be able to tell anybody what they can or can't do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Henry Ford's quote, "Whether you think you can, you can't, you're right.
Yep,
And if you think you
100%.
can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't." And that's it. If I could share a story real quick with you,
Yeah, like,
um, it's talking about the power of belief. And there's a high school student who promises his mom that he will take, I remember it was the ACTs or the SATs. But he promises, but he doesn't go to class often. He's not a good student, but he promised his mom, and he goes and he does it. Um, and he gets his scores, and he's really surprised because he gets a 1600, which is really good. And so now he's thinking, "Oh man, I'm smart. I've been wasting my abilities, not going to class and doing all this." So he starts to buckle down and go to class, and he doesn't finish high school with great grades, but he gets into a community college. He does well. He's then accepted to go to Princeton and does phenomenal. You know, his score said, "Hey, you're really smart. You can do a lot of things." Like 10 years after he took them, Princeton sent him a note saying, "Listen, we regret to inform you that your scores were sent to you in error. Um, your score wasn't a 1600, it was like 640." And he's like, "Well, it doesn't matter because I built this wonderful business." He sold the business for millions of dollars. And he says, it wasn't, whether I knew I could do it. It was me believing in myself that I could do it that got me where I was. And that is, I mean, he continued to be a very successful business person because whether you think you can, you can't, you're right. And he said, "I can do this." And then he went on to have a great business career. And, you know, his scores didn't make anything. And, you know, I've got a brother and my uncle never went to college, but boy, my brother built a very successful business. And my uncle, one of the, you know, leaders in his industry, and very learned, very, very smart, just didn't do it through college, did it in a different way. So there's a lot of different ways we can achieve what we need to.
yeah, no, that's so real. And I've seen that in so many, as an entrepreneur, I've been to meetings and networking events, and you run into a lot of other entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of similarities in people that, they don't fit in the box. I'll be the first to admit I wasn't great at school. It was so boring. I didn't want to learn the things I didn't want to learn about. I got real excited about learning the things I did want to learn about, but it didn't make any sense. I was always the why kid growing up, asking, I need to know why everything. I'm a why adult as well too. Let me just not fool anybody there. But I need to know why things work or why they are the way they are to help me understand the processes behind it. So, that's why, what is your why is so important to me, because I'm just the why kid.
And that's important because that's who you are.
So, so what exactly do you do in your business with the coaching? How do you help small businesses and entrepreneurs? How do you?
Yeah, so um, I work with businesses either on a one-on-one basis, um, or in small groups. And in those cases, we're working on what they're looking for. So, as an example, I had a client that was trying to grow their business, and it's small solopreneur person, and but she wanted to grow. She had some things. Her and her husband had a side hustle that they did, or still do, and but her goal was to be able to spend a month at the beach every summer, and to be able to work from there. And then as well, they had a dream of being able to go to Paris. And so we said, okay, if those are what you're trying to achieve, what do we have to do to make that happen? And part of it was being able to grow our revenue. So working through how do you get more clients? How many clients do you need to have? What type of clients? What were you charging, and was it the right thing? So we went through all that, but we started with goals, getting really clear on what they wanted. That's generally where I started, was clarity, and making sure people understand what are you trying to do, where are you trying to go, then the effectiveness, and okay, how do you do that? We then go into growth. Right? You're established business and you want to scale. How do you do that? And then we talk about sales and then leadership, and but really trying to meet any client where they're at. And I had other clients where, um, this particular husband and wife team, he knew they were making good money, but he wasn't seeing the profit. So it was going through with him and understanding, okay, where's the money, and really learning and understanding the financial acumen of running a business, and understanding a P&L. And I've done that with a number of people. Because sometimes people know they can do something. They know how to sell the business, they know how to sell the product, but the back office stuff sometimes is like, well, I'm not sure how to do all that, make sure I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things. So it's things like that. It's also, um, working with people to help find clients. You talked about you're a why person. So my language that, I think about is behavioral and communication styles, and using DISC and helping and supporting clients learn how to talk to different people in the style that fits who they're talking to. And I had a client that was trying to get a couple people in the post deals with, and was, it's not happening. And we walked through who they were and what their DISC style was, their communication style. And like right after we did that, she said, about that work because I just closed both those deals. So, and that's a big piece. So I do that with companies as well. We're like, doing workshops and things like that for companies to be able to make their teams more effective, communicate more effectively.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because a lot of people that are in business don't have a background in business. They came up with an idea, they solved a problem, they have a solution to something, and they know that solution works, and they know if they get that solution in front of the right people, it's a no-brainer. But all of the marketing, all of the business, all the back office, all of the like you said, the business and financial acumen, all of that just goes way over their head. So I think that's super important, that that people are aware. You can run a business, but to be successful long term, you have to have those checks and balances in place.
Yeah.
Now tell me a little bit about your podcast.
Um, so it's called Beyond the Bottom Line, and it is, um, as I said, because to me, it's not always just about the bottom line profit. And so we talk about, what are people doing to get back to their communities, to get back to the industry, to get back in some way. And all the people that I've had on to this point, yourself included, that you brought things to the table that says, here's why I started my business, or here's what my business does. And in some cases, it is people um, giving back to women, things that they do to support other women, helping people get ahead in business, introducing people, mentoring people, and again, typically women, but then also just people who have, um, done things for the community, um, or, put other people first. So I had a conversation with a wonderful woman recently that um, they they made a family decision to move, and as that decision was made, the day they were getting ready to move, she found out she had cancer, and how and what they did to support their family, and what it did for her career, and then what it did for people that work with her. It's a great story of, again, of support and what she had done, um, and what was important for her. And yeah, it's just the stories that, as I meet and talk to people, it's stories that just really touch um, on people that run a business that are purpose, and they're purpose driven, they're people driven, and it's not about how much money am I making.
Yeah, I love that, and I was so happy to be a guest on your show, Beyond the Bottom Line, and talk about my travel business and my why behind what made me want to be a travel companion and planner and advisor and all the other names that we call travel professionals. But it's really just the excitement behind helping people, and we brought that up earlier in the conversation that helping people as your motivation is going to get you way further than chasing that dollar. So I love the idea behind the podcast. I love, the questions that are asked, the handful of guests that I've seen on your podcast all kind of have the same, they're very people motivated, and helping people is more so their core motivator than the financial aspect. Sometimes it's hard to continue to motivate yourself if the money's not there. So I understand that, money is a factor sometimes, but again, when you're thinking about why am I doing this? And it's to get joy from helping other people, then you definitely go a lot further. Um,
You do. And there was a woman that was probably one of the first people I talked to, who had started this club for women. It started as just a couple people, that grew to over 10,000 people in their city. And they did it because, for women to be able to have somebody to go do something with. So like they would go walk, or they would go on a hike, but it turned into, it built quite a community. And the fact that these women supported each other, they, made, made connections, made friends. And that's also part of it, is being able to have that. And so, yeah, it's about your community, and, what are you doing in your back to it as well. And she built this wonderful community of people that, um, again, going from just a handful to over 10,000 people is remarkable.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know a couple people who've built smaller organizations, but just from the ground up. I'm a member of the Women Empowering Women community, and they're slowly but surely branching nationwide. And it was just a girl who's like, you know what, I want to do a networking group, but I want to do it differently. And I want to make it accessible. So you can go to any of the meetings and it doesn't cost anything. So I mean, there's member perks for signing up, but I mean, I can take whoever I want whenever, and it doesn't cost them $1 million to be a part of it. So it's slowly growing, but there's a couple other networking groups that are local, but to build that community, we talked about your support system and the people you surround yourself with and how important that is. Networking is really just finding who you belong with in your community and finding that fit, that uh that friendship, and community is super important. I actually did a whole podcast episode on community and how important it is to find your tribe. As humans, we're genetically not meant to be individual people. I mean, we're meant to be individual people, but not alone. We're not supposed to be sitting in a house for hours by yourself, standing and staring at a computer. We're supposed to be interacting with other humans and engaging in conversations and having that connection, those deep connections. So super important. Um, so are there any topics or anything that you wanted to bring up specifically that I didn't ask you about or failed to mention?
I don't think so, Layla. I would just, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for letting me highlight what I do, and what really brings joy and lights me up is to be able to support other people in achieving their goals and their dreams.
That's amazing. Thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate everything on all aspects. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your podcast and for your coaching and for your community and everything else. It's so good to have you on here. It's so nice to meet you and know you, and we really appreciate you. So do you want to let my listeners know where they can find you? I'll link everything in the show notes below too, but if you want to give a quick shout out to any of your websites or anything.
Yeah, I'll give you. People can look at my website. I'll certainly share that link with you. But probably best place to look at me is through LinkedIn. I have the best profile there because it's where I find most business people. Uh, but yeah, you can. I will share with you. I am doing, as we talk about communication and the importance of that. I am doing a workshop December 3rd on the importance and the power of having effective communication and how it affects our relationships. So that can be found on LinkedIn as well. It's an event there, and I can send you the link as well to be able to share that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So they can go to LinkedIn and click on the link and sign up for the webinar. Is it a webinar or a class on
It's
there?
going to be a webinar. It's going to be a 2-hour session that we'll do online, so people from across the time zones would be able to do it. And if someone can't come, but they're interested in doing it, we'll make sure that we can either share a link and but I mean, it includes a disc assessment, so people will learn if they don't know their communication style, what it is, and then they'll learn about them. And then I offer as part of the workshop, an individual debrief, so you can kind of learn more about what your style is and how you adapt, and maybe why some communications go really well, why maybe some communication, yeah, a little bit harder to have.
Awesome. Well, that sounds super exciting. I'm going to have to sign up for that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Let's go do life expressively.
There you go.